not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised.
It's time to energize a revolution in medicine. Welcome to Third Opinion. We intend to hunt down the cures, provide the evidence, and ask the critical questions that you want answered. The revolution is now. I'm Richard D'Andrea, a medical doctor trained in surgery and conventional medicine, and a natural doctor with extensive experience in progressive treatments focused on finding the cure. You want answers, and we aim to deliver. Yes. Finally, healthcare is at the top of the president's agenda. But as stated by Princeton professor of African American Studies Cornel West, we need to stay aware of whether the president, like his predecessors, is making symbolic gestures for political reasons without engaging in a real plan. He further stated, we need to ask whether he is a Buffalo Soldier for Wall Street. Not to mention the relationship he's committed to with the banks. He is committed, so far, to $1 trillion in bailout money from some bank of some unmentioned source. In my opinion, the people calling the shots are the ones who sign your paycheck. In a culture based on "In God We Trust," the best way to find your boss is to follow the money trail. The president's former doctor of 22 years, Dr. David Shiner, on Democracy Now! Stated, "We play defensive medicine in this country. Insurance, drug companies, and malpractice are dictating treatment." He further stated that doctors order many unneeded studies to assure themselves of a profitable day and insure themselves against lawsuits. He opposes the president's plan for health care and says that the agenda is not in favor of a single-payer system and that it is not similar to the one that is used in most industrialized nations in the world that do have successful health care. In a system based on profit margins, we order the treatments that return the most in reimbursements. Inevitably, we pump up profits in support of a failed system of care. We manage your illness instead of striving for a cure. You're worth more to the system when you're suffering. You see, pain is profitable. Suffering increases the profit on Wall Street. See, a boost in stockholder share dividends is more valuable than putting suffering to an end. This has changed the focus of medicine in America. It is now driven by symptomatic suppression instead of health progression. We no longer focus on treatments that encourage the healing power of the human body, mind, and spirit. We have given into a quick fix mentality that is reliant upon drugs, surgery, and radiation that assists in the chronic management of disease so that you have it for the rest of your life. You see, eradication of disease does not feed the bottom line, more profit. We have already proven that it is possible to do some of the most impossible things. We took one giant leap for mankind. We once believed that walking on the moon was an impossibility. In the business of medicine, searching for a cure is like screaming a four-letter word. Like the moon? AIDS. Whoops, there goes another four-letter word. Today, on that note, let's begin with our top stories. Time magazine, the year 2008. Can a bone marrow transplant halt HIV? The human immunodeficiency virus is a pathogen so wily that research rarely talks about curing infected patients. They focus instead on managing the symptoms. In an announcement that caused a flutter of excitement, a Berlin-based hematologist, Gero Uter, claimed he had cured an HIV infection in a 42-year-old man through a bone marrow transplant. The patient, a U.S. citizen living in Germany, was suffering from advanced leukemia and HIV 2 years ago when Uter treated the cancer with a bone marrow transplant at Berlin's Charité Hospital. He inserted the bone marrow of a donor naturally resistant to HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. Researchers have long known that about 1% of Europeans carry a genetic mutation that makes their cells resistant to HIV infection. So the thinking went, inserting stem cell marrow that produces HIV-resistant cells might endow the patient with a means to repel the infection. 20 months after the transplant, Uter says the man shows no signs of carrying the virus. Uter's announcement was barely discussed at a major international HIV conference in Glasgow, according to a renowned virologist that attended the event. More attention was paid to the less innovative methods of early identification, testing programs, and drug therapies. "I'm in the conservative camp," the virologist said. "I don't think there will be a cure," he said. Antiviral treatment has proven through evidence that you can live 30 years on drug therapy, especially if it's initiated soon after infection. We are getting to a stage where HIV can be managed as a chronic illness. I have a feeling it's the best we can do for the foreseeable future. We are clearly entranced by a westernized medical model and have become satisfied with the confines of boxed-up thinking that turns success into preparing the patient for 30 years of side effects. One thing we've forgotten is that we are not lab experiments. We are ambassadors of nature, addicted to the confines of a technological environment. When was the last time you actually put your feet in dirt? This is a reverent factor that the power of the human being as nature must be brought into focus. An integrated partnership between nature and science must be explored to achieve a cure. As healers, we must learn to navigate this middle road. We must not give our unquestioned devotion to ideologies that accept science as a devout religion and cut human nature out of the equation. If we do not see the balance between nature and science, we will never balance the equation. Without reverence for this fact, we will not get lasting results. We will live at the behest of those that play parlor games with human life. On that note, Bayer puts Asians in danger of HIV. New York Times. A division of the German pharmaceutical company Bayer knowingly sold blood-clotting agents infected with the human immunodeficiency virus to Asia and Latin America months after withdrawing them from the Europe and U.S. markets. In February of 1984, after danger was incontrovertibly established, Qatar, a division of Bayer, continued to export old stocks of Factor VIII to industrialized and poor countries for more than a year, to get rid of old stock and to preserve profitable long-term contracts. The total number of people in Asia and Latin America infected by HIV who died from AIDS after being treated with the products from Qatar numbered in a minimum of 100 people in Taiwan and Hong Kong, although more than 100,000 vials of infected product went out to Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Japan, and Argentina. The estimates range into the thousands of those that were possibly infected with the HIV virus. You see, an unregulated pharmaceutical industry has the potential to easily be turned into a distributor of a slow-motion holocaust that is justified by scientific error. How do we know that this was not just another case of problem-action-solution? This is a pattern we have witnessed too many times in the past. They create the problem, take the premeditated action, and always come up with a marketable solution. This is an excellent way to recover from the cost of failure. Either you dump it in a third world country or you create a need for another drug. We'll be right back with some real immunity boosting solutions for some real people who are dealing with HIV. Do you ever